Hi, I'm Jeremy Crosby.
And I'm Nick Boucher. We're your hosts for the program that's all about your city, Talking Fitchburg.
Every weekday, we pull together the news, events, and information you need to stay on top of what's happening in the city of Fitchburg.
Find Talking Fitchburg on cable TV, Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, and our live stream on the web. Plus, you can find all our headlines and stories on Facebook, YouTube, and our video on demand service. This is your city.
Keep up with Talking Fitchburg and the issues affecting you and your neighbors.
Want to know what's happening in your city? Get Notify Me messages from the City of Fitchburg. Visit fitchburgwi.gov on your computer or mobile device and select the big Notify Me button on the left. Enter your email and/or phone number, whichever is best for you to get notifications. Scroll down the list and select all the topics you're interested in to receive email or text messages about. You'll be notified every time one of your topics is updated. Sign up for Notify Me. One more way to keep up with your Fitchburg government.
Good morning, folks. I'm Mark Hamilton. I'd like to call to order the August 28th meeting of the Community and Economic Development Authority meeting. The first order of business is roll call.
I can do it.
So we'll let Mr. Zimmerman do it. Go ahead.
Sure. Hardy.
Here.
Potts.
Here.
Sierra. Sanders.
Here.
Bafadari.
She's here.
Here.
Maldonado.
Here.
Hamilton.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Okay. Let's get right through our agenda. An early reminder, we need to be done by 8:45 today, so we will make sure that that does occur. The first order of business after the roll call is approval of minutes. So you've all gotten a copy of the minutes from July 24th, 2005. I will entertain a motion or a motion on these minutes. Move adoption. Moved by Mr. Hardy. Second by Alder Maldonado. Is there discussion on the minutes? Okay, hearing none, we will move to approve the minutes. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, next item on the agenda. Do we have any public appearances signed up for non-agenda items? None. So we will move to the meat of our meeting today. We have an ordinance to consider, and I will turn it over to Mike.
And I think we need a motion on the ordinance, and then we'll have Deanna take us through the proposed changes.
Sorry, I forgot to acknowledge you, Deanna, my fault. So we have an ordinance to approve a contract between, we got to first read the ordinance. Amending Chapter 22 of the Fitchburg Code of Ordinance by creating Chapter 22, Section 22-8, requirements regarding solar energy collection systems. And is there a motion on the floor to be made to consider this ordinance?
I move to approve ordinance 2025-0-17, amending Chapter 22 of the Fitchburg Code of Ordinances by creating Chapter 22, Section 22-8.
Okay.
Second.
Motion by Nicole, seconded by Joe. Is there discussion on this motion?
Then we'll have Deanna present now, and then we'll have discussion.
Okay.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. This is a proposed ordinance for several changes to the zoning code. That's our Chapter 22. There's two major areas of changes. The first major area is solar energy collection systems, and the second one is related to housing. So there's updates that are designed to facilitate new housing in the city of Fitchburg. I'll talk briefly about the solar energy collection systems. This really clarifies what we're already doing. It clarifies that the city that the city allows solar energy collection systems in every zoning district, and then clarifies some requirements for solar farms. And as you might know, we've already approved 4 solar farms in the city of Fitchburg, and provides some requirements for decommissioning solar farms. This is related to our citywide sustainability plan. It's like morning. And will help us further our goals in the sustainability plan, and hopefully bring us to gold in Soul Smart, which is a program that recognizes municipalities for their efforts towards sustainable energy and sustainable buildings. So I think what I would do is just stop right here and see if there's any questions about this portion of the proposed ordinance.
Are there any questions of Deanna? I'm not hearing any, Deanna.
Okay. All right. Well, then I'll move on to the housing changes, the changes related to housing. There are several. The first major change relates to our existing zoning district for medium density residential. And what the changes do is reduce the minimum lot sizes and reduce the setbacks. And so what this does is allow a wider range of housing in the medium density zoning district, and allow small single family and duplex lots. So it's trying to get to that area of middle housing that I'm sure you've talked about that before, and a little bit more flexibility. The best way for me to think about this particular change, this gets us to Terra Vesa, essentially, is what this does. The next change is actually a new zoning district. We did have some discussions early on with the Plan Commission about modifying our existing high-density residential zoning district. We've made the decision to not modify that one at this time. The idea here is that we want to avoid bringing our existing sites into non-compliance, making things more complex for our existing high-density residential multifamily, which was really designed and built under a more suburban style of development. So instead, what we're doing is creating the high-density residential urban zoning district. And this is a very crucial zoning district in that this will allow high-density residential housing that we currently permit under Planned Development District, but it will also allow courtyard apartments, cottage housing, duplexes, a wider range of types of housing with a mix of commercial. So this is really our first in our traditional zoning district. This is really a true mixed-use zoning district. So we're calling this one high-density residential urban zoning district.
Deanna, can you give me a example of that, kind of what that would look like, mixing the commercial with with these various?
We do that already in PDD. Oshala is a good example of how we've done that already. And we don't have a lot of it, but in Terra Vesa, where Flight Wine Bar is, and Toddy, so commercial on the first floor and housing on the second floor and above.
Terrace Point would be another example on Fish Hatchery Road. And because we didn't have this type of zoning ordinance, we've been having to do everything with Planned Development District, which is, basically site zoning and a lot of extra work for city staff. Yeah. So this is going to modernize things and make it more flexible.
Well, you've had proof of concept, so in other words, you've figured out that this is,
And then another new section is proposed, and that is related specifically to accessory dwelling units. So section 22-230 would allow accessory dwelling units in all residential zoning districts. There are some specific requirements for existing single family. I do want to point out that one of those requirements is not that a primary residence has to be occupied by the property owner. So it would allow someone to rent out the primary residence and then live in the accessory dwelling unit. I do also just bring up a note here in my memo because this can complicate in terms of building accessory dwelling units. Ideally, utility connections for an accessory dwelling unit can just come off the existing utility connections for the primary house. In some cases, that might not be a possibility. It's something that anyone interested in building an accessory dwelling unit would need to work with Public Works, their plumber, to identify if there's sufficient capacity. I bring this up because if there is a situation that the existing capacity doesn't allow for the accessory dwelling unit, it might require a new utility connection, and that can be significantly more costly. Any questions about that section of accessory dwelling?
I have lots of questions.
Okay, sure.
As you probably expect.
Yeah.
So as I was kind of reading through this description, I had a couple questions. The first one you just mentioned about renting the unit. Are we going to limit that to long-term rental, or could this be a VRBO kind of Airbnb situation?
It could be. Airbnb is not something that ends up in zoning districts, right? That's a permit that comes through the clerk's office. The courts have already determined across different states that it's really Airbnb or short-term rentals are not a zoning issue.
Okay, but in this description, you are allowing for a non-related person to rent it, so you're opening the door, but you're not necessarily managing that. Okay. What about as that relates then to like HOAs and, I imagine kind of in my neighborhood if somebody built one of these and all of a sudden now there's people flowing in and out of there and people having parties and how is that going to affect the...
Yep, I think that's a great question. HOAs, deed restrictions, covenants are private restrictions, private covenants. The city is not part of those. We do not enforce deed restrictions. We do not, and certainly I don't know this for a fact, but there certainly could be some neighborhoods that explicitly in their deed restrictions prevent a accessory dwelling unit. That's not something that I can enforce.
Okay, so the HOA could potentially sort of supersede this whole...
Yes, the HOA has private rights. Okay. It's best to kind of think of two different worlds here, but I cannot enforce the private restrictions, and those are private restrictions. The city doesn't... When a new subdivision comes through, we don't require deed restrictions, or we generally will look at some of them just to make sure there isn't anything contrary to our ordinances. But that is a private issue, and there would have to be private enforcement.
Okay. And then item number 4, where it talks about the accessory dwelling unit entryways within a rear or side yard shall be connected to street frontage by a paved walkway or driveway. So does that mean that if I put one of these in my backyard, I would have to connect straight to the street, or can I connect it to my driveway?
Yeah.
My existing driveway could be that connector for that unit. Okay.
I'm sorry if it doesn't read that way, but that's the intention.
Okay. And then item number 6, use of a travel trailer or recreational vehicle as an accessory dwelling unit shall be prohibited. So those are items on wheels.
Yeah, essentially.
What about a trailer home that's not on wheels?
Okay, that's a good question. A trailer home, as long as it was permanently located and permanently sited with permanent utilities. So I'm thinking about something that, like our mobile home park, right? They're technically modular units that can be moved, but they are placed on a permanent foundation of sorts and have permanent utilities connected to them. So it would have to have those permanent utilities connected to them.
Would it be wise to add language in there that would clarify that, maybe?
Yeah, I can. I don't know off the top of my head exactly what that looks like right now.
Yeah.
But I think I understand what you're saying.
Yeah. And then, there's all these kind of pre-manufactured tiny homes that are also sort of, you can literally go on Amazon and buy a tiny home for $15,000 and put it in your yard. So again, your points are that the structure has to be permanent and it has to have utilities all connected to it. So it really doesn't, and then aesthetically it has to blend and basically match the primary home. So that would be restrictive in and of itself, perhaps, to some of these things. But I think that would be a good idea to.
I think you're right. Just to clarify exactly, I don't have the right text for you right now.
Yeah, no, that's fine. But that was definitely a question that popped into my head.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the other question I have is item number 10. There's a description in here about the maximum square footage of an accessory dwelling unit shall not exceed 75% of the principal dwelling unit's floor area. The term floor area I don't think is specific enough.
Okay.
I don't know if that means the total square footage of the finished square footage of the entire primary residence, or is that of the square footage of the first floor only? I think the word floor area needs to be further clarified or more specific to the finished square feet of the primary dwelling.
Yeah, all right.
Can I ask a clarifying question on that? Which
Go
one
ahead,
was that
Nicole.
intended? Was it
Nicole, can you
intended
start
to
again? We
be?
can't hear you, sorry.
No, my apologies. I'll change microphones. Keep going.
No, we're ready for you, go ahead.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that. To Jenny's question, I would love to understand which one was that intention, because if it is 75% of total finished square footage, that could be like a pretty decent sized house in a backyard.
Right.
Thinking about my house is pretty long and it's 3 stories, right, with a finished basement kind of thing. So was it intended to be the footprint of the first floor?
It is intended to be the footprint of the first floor. And
We're just going to refine the wording around that to make it more clear. Very clear. Thank you.
Okay, and then my final question. I'm assuming that in terms of kind of the city assessment process, that adding these units to someone's property, it takes, I guess, a certain amount of education around kind of valuing these. Is there sort of a plan for kind of how these would be assessed and the taxes to be calculated and things like that? I mean, it's kind of do you look to other municipalities and cities to see how they assess? Would it be assessed at the same value and rate as the primary residence, or would it be a different category? I guess that Maybe you don't have an answer to that, but that was something
I don't.
something to, again, tuck in the back of your mind as to how that would be handled. I know that I would, as a realtor, I would get questions about that.
I think it's a good question, and we'll have to work with our assessing team to understand a little bit more. But I'm sure they're very capable of figuring out what's a reasonable assessment. And I'm certain it will change your assessment, but I'm not sure exactly how the calculation would happen.
Okay, I think those are all my questions. Thank you.
Dan, I've got a question, and it's kind of semi-related. We've got some of these neighborhoods here in town that have covenants. So as this comes into play, how does that deal with covenants? Do covenants sit underneath it and the city on top? Or can covenants stop some of these things from getting done? Because we had a big hassle in my neighborhood over storage sheds. That the covenants restricted them, you couldn't put them in, and then all of a sudden they started popping up. And so I didn't see that in there, any mention of local covenants for neighborhoods.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's kind of what I was talking about.
I'm sorry. You already answered that question. I'm sorry.
It's I'll go back. I mean, it's two things, right? There's and the local the zoning ordinance doesn't ride over I don't overreach, and I can't. But it's the private covenants. Can be enforced privately, right? Your homeowners association, if you build something and it's against your covenants, your homeowners association can take legal action. But it's a separate process, it's a separate entity, it's a private. You can't go to your homeowners association and say, well, see, the city said it's okay, so it doesn't matter, because it does matter. I don't overrule your
sorry,
private.
I missed the
No, it's okay. It's a really good question, and what we will do when we start permitting these is put a very clear disclaimer in there in anything that we issue as a permit with the city, that you are responsible for reviewing your private deed restrictions and covenants, and you are responsible for making sure that you are following that. But the city isn't going to come to run and save you.
I feel like as citizens, we're all going to have to probably check in with our HOAs if we have one, and let them know that this is coming and that we have to put language. I know my association is pretty loosey-goosey, but I think if something like this were brought to the HOA's attention, there may be some pushback, with that. So I think this is a pretty big neighborhood change that we'll have to do some communication to let HOAs know that this could change the landscape of their neighborhood. Yeah.
Well, it doesn't. They have the right to enforce, and they have legal right to take action. Yeah.
Andy.
Question and a comment. For the HOA side, you asked specifically about Airbnb type situations. I know Seminole Forest does explicitly prohibit those, so there's at least one where the deed restriction and the covenants were rewritten within the past 5 or 6 years to explicitly exclude those. But I guess question, I don't know if you're to the amendment stage yet with the Plan Commission amendments.
I haven't got there yet.
Okay.
But please go ahead.
I can hold off. If first, just a comment. I think there's a typo on the first one where it says 10 and then parentheses the number 1. I assume that should be a 1 and a 0.
Oh, okay. I apologize.
But I guess just the question really, if you could go over that amendment and what it's trying to address, just looking through existing ordinances, there's like one mention of cooperative housing. It's not defined in the ordinance. Just curious what the Plan Commission's intentions are with that and what exactly they're trying to cover.
Yeah, and you bring up a good point that maybe we should more explicitly define cooperative housing, because I certainly did that for cottage housing. Plan Commission is interested in allowing cooperative housing where there is, for example, there's some discussion about it. I think it's an 8-unit building, or is it 16-unit building? Two 8-unit buildings where they would convert it to cooperative housing, where you don't buy a condo exactly, but you buy into the cooperative in order to live in there. You buy into a piece of the cooperative instead of buying like a condo or buying a house. So it's a different form of ownership, essentially, than it really is a particular housing style. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Deanna, we got a couple more questions here. I'm going to first call on Dan in our audience.
If I were a developer and bringing forth a new development, and I had a restrictive covenant in that plan for my new development that said there will be no accessory buildings on the property, either the storage sheds or the extra housing unit, what would the city's reaction be to that?
The city, if the proposal meets all of our ordinance requirements, meets everything, all of the city's ordinance requirements, then we will approve.
Well, the city ordinance requirements say that we can have alternative units in the city. And now this restrictive covenant in the new development would say there can be none here. So we are inconsistent.
I see what you're saying.
We're inconsistent with what the city's plan is.
I see where, sorry, I didn't follow you right away. I think, I don't think that would happen today, but I, as the zoning administrator, would not have the legal right to tell them that they couldn't put that restriction, but I would certainly let the developer know that the city still had this on the books. But I don't think I have the legal right to prevent them from putting in a restriction like that.
So the restrictive covenant could be contrary to the city policy.
It could, yeah.
Right. What if the, I'm trying to remember back when I lived in Seminole Forest, I think there was a requirement I couldn't remove any trees that had a diameter in excess of 4 inches. What if the city, that was the restrictive covenant, what if the city has a restrictive covenant that says I can't remove anything in excess of 3 inches?
Well, I think it's a good question. It's probably not something that the city would care to go into. We would be, if the city tried to put a restriction on what people could do with trees on their private property, that gets really tricky very quickly in the courts. So I wouldn't recommend that the city put a restriction such as what you described on private property.
I thought there was we had a restriction on new developments about removal of trees and things. Don't we have that?
What we have, very specifically, is for all preliminary plats, a developer needs to provide a tree inventory and a tree preservation plan. We cannot prevent them from taking down every single tree on that site. Our code does not, our ordinance does not prevent that. But what this does is allow the Tree Advisory Committee, Plan Commission, Council it does require that tree inventory and that tree preservation plan so that at least we can work with the developer to identify a way to preserve some of the trees. But honestly, if a developer wanted to take down every single tree, I cannot stop them.
Thank you.
We have a couple more hands up. Nicole?
Thank you. I was going to bring up the Seminole Forest Airbnb VRBO, but I know that Andy already did that. The other piece I wanted, and I just want to call out and hear this. It's probably written somewhere. Does the accessory dwelling unit, is that limited to just one per single family home location?
One per legal lot. It's limited to one per legal lot.
Great. I appreciate that because I think when Jenny was asking the question about mobile homes, you know, getting back to the mobile home park that we have in District 4 and the mismanagement of that and the terrible spot that it's put the amazing tenants of that park, just it continues to frustrate me to no end. And I appreciate so much how much city staff has worked to do right by those residents. And there's been so much city staff and time spent on that. So great. I wanted to make sure I didn't think this would be allowed for, but that there are not multiple tiny homes in someone's backyard who is charging absorbent amounts of rent or something other than that, and then mismanaging and misserving. So thank you. I kept looking it over, and I probably missed it while my son got slime all over his hands. But thank you for reiterating that point. I appreciate it.
No. Any other comments? Okay. All right.
I have one.
Okay.
You know what a park model mobile home is?
Mm-hmm.
So if I wanted to put a park mobile home on my lot, use it as an accessory building, I would need to run a connection, electric and gas connection from MG&E to that unit.
You have to have permanent utility connections.
And would I also then have to run sewer and water?
Yep.
And where I live, I don't have sewer and water. So can I would I put in a separate septic and connection to a well or a separate well for that unit?
No, you would have to, as this is written, if it's at all possible, you could connect into the existing well and septic. If that is not possible, after working with the county, you, for example, don't have enough capacity in your existing septic system, then you would have to install a new septic system. I wouldn't imagine you'd have to do a new well, but you would have to connect the park model to the well. You have to have permanent utility connections to the park model. And then the park model would have to meet all the HUD standards. So it would have to be, the park model, you either have to meet all the HUD standards, or you have to have, the dwelling unit needs to meet the current residential building code.
Okay, thank you.
So the intention would be that someone not put up a shed in their backyard and
Cannot.
charge $500 a month
Yeah.
for that.
Yeah.
It would have to be a fully living dwelling unit that someone could live in permanently.
It's a permanent housing unit that meets either, if it was one of the park models, it'd have to meet all the current HUD standards. Otherwise, you have to meet all of the residential building code standards.
Joyce Fry, you're online. You had your hand up. Do you still have a question? Okay. All right. Are there any other comments or questions from Deanna? For Deanna. So, given the discussion here and the motion on the floor, do we want to entertain the option to amend this motion to allow the planning staff to note the changes that CETA made to the presentation? I think one was a typo, and then there was some other very good discussion. So is there a motion to amend the motion? Is that what I need to do, Mike?
Yeah, just to allow Deanna to
Make the changes.
list those recommended changes. Is that right?
But why don't I just walk through what I kind of have here?
Yeah.
That's fine. Go ahead.
Yep.
Okay, so number 6, to clarify the use of the travel trailer recreational vehicle, you've all brought up some good points. I I think I need to add some language here related to a permanent foundation, permanent utility connections. I might want to clarify residential building code and the HUD standards if you go with the park model. I will, number 10A, I will clarify the floor area to be the footprint of the first floor. I had a typo on my amendments on the referral page, so I will definitely correct that. And then we talked a little bit about cooperative housing, and I think what I'll do is put a definition of that so that it's a little clearer that it's a type, it's not exactly a housing form, but it's the type of ownership.
And then, Deanna, can you just take us through the change to business general, yet to with the residential?
Yes. Yeah, this is this is interesting. This is our existing business general zoning district. Currently, under conditional use, you can put housing on the second floor and above in business general. You can do that already as a conditional use. I'm proposing to do that as a permitted use, bless you, permitted use, so that you could do housing on the upper floors with commercial use on the first floor. And then also, I'm also proposing, as we continue our discussions with potential developers, we're also recognizing that it can be important to have at least even some of the first floor to be residential. So it would allow a limited amount of first floor residential that wouldn't be at the frontage, the public frontage or the public street side, but it could allow for, say, a handicap unit on the first floor and to allow that mixed use development. And so, but that would be done as a conditional use permit.
We've just been getting, as we've been talking to various developers, that's been something that they've been asking for some flexibility on.
Okay. All right. Are there any other comments for Deanna? So before we're ready then to take action on this motion.
Oh, Joyce has her hand raised.
Oh,
again.
I'm sorry. Who has their hand raised?
It looks like Joyce does.
Oh, Joyce, you're back. Okay, go ahead. Your hand's up.
Hey, Deanna, I just wanted to mention about the floor area. When you do your definition, you may want to say livable floor area, because I know there's a different building inspection calculates floor area differently than what assessing does. So that could be kind of confusing, but I can chat with you about that later
I would
if
recommend,
you'd like.
I agree that it has to be more specific, but I would recommend maybe using the word finished square feet. That is, more of a real estate term, because the term livable could mean different things to different people. But I think finished square feet would be, when you look at, kind of how a home is defined as their square footage. Finished square feet means not the garage.
Okay, I think that's what I wanted to ask you too.
Yeah.
So basically,
Or
not
like
the
if there's
garage.
a screened porch or, items like that.
Is finished?
Go ahead, Nicole.
Is finished defined anywhere else in our city standards? Because I don't know what livable square footage is defined as, but if livable does the same thing as finished, that's, if livable says the garage isn't counted as livable and the screen porch isn't counted as livable, I guess only request is if we use the word livable or finished, I don't really care, as long as it is defined somewhere in other city statutes.
Okay. I will look into that. Right now, we don't have a clear definition of either one of those terms, finished or livable, but I will work through and make sure we have that clarified.
Okay, are there further comments? All right, we are ready to take action on the amended motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Okay, We are passed.
And Mark, I just want to say thanks to Deanna for all her work on this. We're going to do a full zoning code rewrite and a major comp plan process coming, but these are some interim steps that gives us some flexibility for additional housing types. So credit to her and her team for being able to move this forward at this point in time with all the other stuff that they're working on, including neighborhood plans and everything else. This is really helpful. So thank you, Deanna, and your staff.
Thank you, Deanna, and please pass that on to the staff. The committee thanks them. Thank you. Okay, moving along on our agenda, item number 6, hotel and room tax report.
I think we still have another resolution, R1.
My fault. We have to deal with the window treatment.
And Joyce is going to take the lead on this one.
Okay, Joyce, you're on.
Can we get a motion, please, first?
I'd like to make a motion to approve Resolution R-139-25, approving a contract between the City of Fitchburg and Sustained Dane for Phase 2, Project 3 of the Efficiency Navigator Program for window replacement.
I will second that.
Second.
We have 2 seconds. Okay, you're on, Joyce.
Okay, if you recall, one of the priorities in the 2019 housing plan was to upgrade the existing multifamily that is considered our NOAA housing or naturally occurring affordable housing. We engaged back in 2024 with Sustained Dane to work on this initiative. One of the things that the city, being CETA and the Housing Advisory Committee, requested, in addition to the efficiency updates that Sustained Dane and Elevate complete as part of their program, we asked to have windows included in that assessment. So at the time when Sustained Dane and Elevate went out and did their kind of evaluations, they noted which buildings had the need for window replacement. There's a little bit of a miscommunication between myself and Sustained Dane. Initially, I assumed that they got actual quotes when they did their assessments. However, they just reached out to some of their contractors and got an estimate of what they thought the windows may cost. So we pulled the windows out of our initial 310 budget because they were significantly higher than what we had available for funding. And it was determined that we would bring back a separate request for the windows. We are looking, or we were presented with 3 options. One was to replace just the fronts of the windows in the buildings that were identified. The second one was to replace just one building, all the windows, based on the biggest need. And the last one was to replace all the windows in the buildings that were identified. So these 3 options were presented to staff. And at that time, we determined that the best approach, based on what the goals of the housing plan was, to complete the window replacement and ask for additional funds to do that project. We did, in our bucket, identify $500,000 for the Efficiency Navigator program, and we also included some additional dollars in our 2025 budget for this program. So what we're bringing forward now is to replace 162 windows in, let me grab my notes here. Sorry, I've got a couple different things here. I believe it's, well, geez. I think it's maybe 4 or 5 buildings. It should be in your packet, the breakdown. So the request is to replace all the windows in the identified buildings. I think that's it. And now, if anybody has any questions, I'm more than happy to answer. And I also have Frankie and Leslie on the call. So if there's something I can't answer, they can help me out.
Just a point of
I do
reference.
believe just to,
Go ahead, Nicole.
I think we were going to say the same thing. Were you going to say that it's 8 properties?
No, I was going to say it's on page 32 of the attachment that Joyce gave us.
There you go. And
Close
I'll
enough.
finish it up with, I don't know how Joyce keeps all these details straight in her head as the pages are right in front of her. So 6 was pretty darn close. It's actually 8 properties, it looks like.
Anything else, Joyce, from your end?
Will this be able to be
No,
done? Sorry.
Go ahead.
They did do a great job. They did go out and get bids for energy efficient windows. This was a pretty difficult task because not all the windows were the same size, nor did all the contractors that they reached out to respond. So and I did a breakdown for the Board of Public Works per window cost, and it was between $1,200 and $1,400. So I feel like the request is reasonable, and I think we'll get a good return on our dollars.
Okay, Jenny, you had something.
Will this, if we can get this all approved, will it be able to be done before the winter? What's the timing?
That is the plan.
Yay.
Now it's going to be based on, contractor availability, because this has kind of taken a little bit longer than what we had anticipated, but we're hoping to have it done by the end of the year.
Okay, thank you, Joyce. Any further comments from CETA members? Okay, hearing none, we will take action on the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Joyce, your motion is passed. Thank you very much, and go enjoy the beach.
Thank you.
She's not leaving yet.
I wish.
Okay, moving along. Hotel room tax considerations. Michael.
Well, I'm just going to give an update and a report. And Jeremy, can you share my screen, please? We've got the second quarter room tax in as of the end of July. And we came in at 161, 247. There it is up on the screen. It was there. There, it's back. Okay. So 161, 247.58, which compares to, we were up slightly over the quarter 2 of 2024. For the whole year, we're at 245,833 for 2025, down just a little bit compared to 2024, where we had 247,528. So we're less than 1%, 0.006 down there. So that's what we're hearing from Destination Madison and Greater Madison, that it's just kind of flat this year. But hopefully we have a good third quarter coming in.
Okay, thank you. Any questions of Mike on the hotel room tax?
And Joyce, did you want to chime in on the request from the last meeting?
Sure. I don't know why my here. Look at this. See if there I am. I want to thank you guys for the approval of the $1,500 for the photo booth at the community night out. I think it would have been a fantastic marketing idea. However, we had some technical difficulties with the equipment from the vendors. So we will not be spending the $1,500, and the initial deposit that I paid. We can put that towards another event in which we want to use the photo booth. So just wanted to give that update. And I have not yet finalized the Fitchburg retail store. So the $2,500 that you approved has not been spent either. So we're working on several things there. So keep you posted.
Okay, thank you, Joyce. Mike, back to you.
Okay. That's it.
We
That's
ready
it for the room tax.
Okay, we ready to go on the budget then?
Yes. Okay. Now I'm still sharing my screen, Jeremy. And just to give you a highlight, we submitted our 2026 budget, presented it to Administration and Finance, and then yesterday presented it to the mayor. So we actually have 3 budgets. There's the 100, which is a general levy. And that pretty much is kind of status quo. That one doesn't change too much from year to year. And then the second budget that we have is the one that's based off of our room tax projection. And so for 2026, we're projecting 575,000 in hotel room tax collections. In 2025, we are projecting 545. The reason for the increase is twofold. One is we have a new hotel property coming online, the Spring Hill Suites, that is going to open in approximately October of this year, 100-room Spring Hill Suites on Nesbitt Road. And then the other reason for proposing a higher projected amount is we're proposing to increase the hotel room tax rate that we had shared with CETA previously. So we're looking to increase the rate from 7% to 8%. That would start on January 1st of 2026. As part of the budget process, there's the fee schedule, and the hotel room tax increase would be proposed as part of the 2026 fee schedule. A 1% increase amounts to about $76,000. I'm only kind of going with half of an increase for 2 reasons there. One is, again, right now, Destination Madison, we're kind of trending flat with hotel business here for the region. But the other reason is our Wyndham Garden Hotel at Hatchery Hill has a new owner, and they've been doing some significant investments. In fact, they're going to be looking at painting the exterior of the building. But over the winter season, they're also probably going to be taking some rooms offline and doing some interior modifications with some of their hotel rooms there. So just want to be cautious and conservative with it. So hopefully we'll land at that number. And then the hotel room tax allocations flow from that 575. So in our line items here, I'm just going to show you, as you know, under 390, and I'm going to zoom in here so you can see this a little better. Our Fitchburg Chamber Visitor Business Bureau has been designated as our official tourism entity for the city of Fitchburg. So they receive 70% of that 575 that we're projecting. So as the quarter's revenues come in, then that allocation, 70% of it gets allocated to our partners at the Fitchburg Chamber Visitor Business Bureau for their tourism promotion and marketing related activities that they perform on behalf of the city of Fitchburg. Then our third budget category is our housing budget. And for this one, as you might remember, we worked with the mayor and administration and the council with a memo with regards to our TID for housing dollar allocations. And so we worked with our finance director, Misty Dodge, to allocate the dollar amounts there that were in that memo that we worked with the council and the mayor on. So here you can see $1 million for the Rental Rehabilitation Efficiency Navigator Program, $1.5 million for workforce housing initiatives, complementing the LIHTC program through WIDA with an H. And then we've got $2 million designated for a land banking and acquisition program, and then $2.5 million for a future down payment assistance program, and then $500,000 to establish an emergency housing fund for senior homeowners. That leaves us an undesignated amount of about $2.5 million of the approximately 10 that we have with interest that we've earned. And we left that undesignated to be determined based on the updated housing plan and the recommendations that come from that housing plan when we finish that in the early part of 2026. So that's kind of just an overview of our three kind of budget categories there. Like I said, we presented to the mayor yesterday. I think it goes to the committee of the whole. I know on October 29th, they'll be looking at amendments, and then it'll wind up in November, the first part of November at the council meeting there.
Questions of Mike? Okay, hearing none. Let's keep moving forward. Next is the Economic Development Director and Committee Member Reports. Mike, you're on again.
Okay, and I'll let Joyce, did you want to start with what you had to report?
Joyce, you still on?
Sure.
Okay.
Yep, I'm here. Just trying to get my camera going here.
Okay.
So I'm going to give a quick overview of where we're at with the with updating the city in motion. As you recall, we have funding from the ARPA TID and to update the Economic Development Strategic Plan that was done in 2018. We've been working on the scope of services with Vanderwall and the chamber, and hopefully you'll be seeing a request in maybe September to move forward with that project. So stay tuned. We sat down yesterday and just kind of ran through a few things, and boy, we have a lot of changes. So we're going to be looking at a different approach as well, possibly some joint meetings to do reporting and some other kind of fun interactive things with committees and public and private partners. So stay tuned. Is that all I needed to report out on, Mike?
I'll add a few more items on that one. That will be a public-private partnership. Our partner, again, from the Fitchburg Chamber Visitor Business Bureau, has been part of the two previous iterations of that document. They'll be participating again, not only with their input and involvement, but also financially as part of that process. And then as part of the scope of work, one of the things that we'll be working with Vanderwall, and Lorene is also working with the Realtors Association, there's going to be a developer roundtable to invite a whole kind of collection of the development community to have a facilitated exercise to say, you know, what's working well in Fitchburg, where do we maybe have some gaps, just to get some feedback and input with regards to our processes and maybe even ordinances. And this is going to be kind of a precursor, as I mentioned. Deanna and her team will be launching in 2026 not only a major comp plan update, but a complete rewrite of our zoning code and our sign code. So we're doing some of that kind of helping to do some of that information gathering on the front end of those processes that'll be coming forward. So that'll be a new element as part of the City in Motion document. But so much has changed again since the last one that was done in 2018, you know, with the economy, with office space. So this is a timely update to the Forward Fitchburg City in Motion document. And we'll be bringing that forward. Referral second meeting in September. It'll come to CETA in September, and then hopefully council will move it forward at the first meeting in October. If you would please look at your calendars. We're looking at possibly doing a kickoff of that whole process, ideally with a joint meeting of the council, the Fitchburg Chamber Board, and CETA on Wednesday evening, October 22nd. So if you could check your calendars, we'll be checking in with you to see if you're available. And then hopefully that would be in place of our Thursday, October 23rd CETA meeting. But we might have a free Wednesday there. One of the challenges is always just trying to find a date in a room that we can do some things. And the Committee of the Whole has been pushed back to October 29th, so it seems like there's an opening on the calendar here on that fourth Wednesday of October 22nd. So if you can reserve that for us as we continue to work with Vanderwall and the council, that would be appreciated.
So, Mike, you said that's the evening, correct? Not the
Right,
morning. Okay.
yeah. And we would probably start it early evening. We don't think we would go with a late start on it. Like I said, maybe like a 5 or 5:30 or something. Yeah, to be determined. But if you could just hopefully block off that, and we'll circle back with you on kind of timing and availability once we coordinate with some others.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Go ahead.
That was all I had on the city of motion. Joyce, did you have other stuff to report on before we switch it over to Lorene and then I'll go?
Sure. I want to thank everybody for coming out and helping with the community night out. It was a great success. We never realized what we were missing until we actually attended one. So thanks again for allowing us to have a profile there. We received a request from MadRep for a project Sharp Knife. We responded to that Monday, so we'll see if we get some attraction on that. I think that's all I want to report for right now.
And that project was requesting approximately 10 acres for a manufacturing type business and establishment. And then compliments to Joyce on, she bought us a new Fitchburg branded tent that we used for the first time out at the community night out, and it very brand disciplined and gives us a really good visual to be used in the community. So great job on that.
Thanks, Joyce.
Next up, we'll have Lorene give us an update on the housing plan.
Sure. So on the housing side, we're finishing up our first phase with redevelopment resources, doing a lot of surveys and forums. So in regards to the surveys that went out to the community, so via social media, through FACTv, we had a physical copies here at City Hall and then at the Senior Center. So a lot of traction for that. And then also we went to out into the community to kind of gauge feedback from residents. So went to some Park Alive events in the Allied neighborhood, and then also the food pantry, just kind of communicating with residents there. So overall, right now, we have about 675 surveys that have been completed. We also were requested to go this Sunday to Mount Zion Church to have a booth there. So we may get some additional surveys at that time. So officially, it is closed. It closed as of the 22nd of August. So really great feedback that we're receiving. And then also received a lot of emails from individuals wanting to have additional information along the way to know, where we stand with the housing plan. So in regards to the forums, so redevelopment resources went to the Oasis coffee shop, and that was really great. Actually, they kind of just set up some easels in the coffee shop, and people were really attracted to just kind of seeing what information they had. And so they got a lot of feedback from people that were just enjoying coffee and wanted to know a little bit more about it. So very engaging. Then they went to McKee Parks to kind of engage with residents there. What we learned at that particular park is that a lot of people come from different communities. So there were people from Oregon, from Middleton. So that was really interesting. Even though we had some engaging conversation, there weren't a lot of residents that actually lived here in Fitchburg. So I thought that was kind of interesting. And then at the end of that day, we went to Southdale Park. There was a backpack event, and that was really engaging. There was a lot of residents that lived near the park that were kind of sharing some feedback. And one of the things I thought was really interesting is they kind of talked a little bit about some of the barriers of what's preventing some residents of getting into housing, and credit was a big thing. And I thought that was really interesting, that maybe that we can look into some type of credit repair or helping residents with that issue. Also, here at City Hall, we had a senior forum, and that was really well attended. So residents were able to kind of communicate, share their feedback, and then they kind of did some surveys about what was really the barriers and things that they wanted to see more in the community. So that was really well attended, and Janice Hughes really did a lot of marketing for that. So kudos to her to get a lot of seniors to come to that event. We also did a staff forum here, and that was kind of the department heads, and so like the police department, assessing, economic development, HR, and some other departments also came and just kind of shared their feedback from their lens as a city staff. So yeah, as I mentioned, so the surveys are completed. So at this point, the redevelopment resources are going to compile those results and then going to present those that information. So one at our steering committee meeting on September 18th, and then at council on the 24th, and then at CETA on the 25th of September. So it'll be interesting to hear kind of what they learned from those forums and surveys, and the information that they'll present. So I think that's it for the redevelopment resources. And just in addition to that, I also went to a couple of events. One was the Home for Everyone conference at the Chula Vista in the Dells. That was interesting. There was a speaker that talked about sacred housing from Threshold Development, which was really interesting, where churches may look into having housing incorporated with the churches, where the church is more in the background and the housing is more in the forefront. So I thought that was kind of an interesting concept. And then also, I went on a walking tour. Actually, the mayor also attended that, at Grandview Commons. And that was really interesting because it was a neighborhood of different types of housing, all kind of put together. So there's like pocket-style housing where the parks are kind of in the middle and the homes are all around it. And it was really nice for families. So like, for instance, if they had children that wanted to play, they could kind of stay in their house and see, out the window that their children are playing. And I thought it was really interesting. They said a lot of families, just more kids in the park versus the adults, because they could, feel comfortable allowing them to play. Then there was other types of housing where, the alleys, and the alleys were made strategically so that they only one car can fit at a time, and that, not a lot of congestion. So I thought it was really interesting, the style of the alleys, but really well done. And then they also had a area or a development for the elderly, where there was homes for the elderly, but then also as maybe they progress, that if they needed to go to a nursing home or a dementia type style place as well, that was all in this one area. So I just thought that was really nice. So, and then also multifamily. So it was really interesting to see the different types of housing in one neighborhood. And another thing that I thought was really interesting is they said many people stay there and just move in different types of housing, just depending on their lifestyle. So maybe a family maybe purchase a bigger home, but then they downsize, they would stay in the neighborhood just because they love that community. And then also there's a point in the community where you could see the Capitol directly from that area. So it's really nice. And they made it strategically so that nothing could be built to block that view. So very beautiful area. So I think that's it from housing.
Thank you, Lorraine. You've been very busy.
Yes.
We look forward to your continued updates and this moving forward.
A lot of good communication and outreach on the housing plan and helping guide that process. So keeping very busy. And then Lorraine's also been doing research on land banking and acquisition programs from other communities. So that will be one of the next initiatives that we start to work on and bring forward on the housing front. Then I'll go with some development updates here. So we've got the Bowman Plaza redevelopment. That TIF request got approved by the council on Tuesday night of this week. So the plan is that Bowman Plaza would get demolished in the early part of 2026, and then that will be transformed again into a 7-story building, 5 floors over 2 floors of structured parking, approximately 270 market rate apartment units, and then 9,500 square feet of commercial. That'll be right up to the street at Fish Hatchery Road there. So catalytic signature development project on the west side of Fish Hatchery Road. About a $70 million investment, and the TIF where we landed is $5.65 million over a 15-year payback with a pay-as-you-go developer bond. So again, a great project, and we appreciate working with our private sector partner, Ned Hoyt, on that one. Uptown Hills, the workforce housing, 24 units over here north of Lacey Road and Haight Farm Road, that North Point development is working on with WIDA, and then we're providing an upfront deferred loan. The closing is supposed to be today. Our legal team at Axley has been working on that project for us, and we had all our documents there, and then the closing got delayed on the private sector side, so we're hearing that that's going to happen today. Then 2 other projects that hopefully will be coming yet this fall we're working with Avante Properties for a multifamily building right at the corner of the roundabout of Lacey Road and East Sherrill Parkway, 114 units that would have apartments, but then it would also be wrapped in the front at the roundabout with some townhome units. So we are working with them on a TIF request, and then that might also be our first pilot program for our workforce within market rate, where 10% of the units would be available to people that are at 60% of Dane County median income. We have a meeting with Avante and Ellers today at 9 a.m. To talk about the parameters of that program, but hopefully they will be one of our first pilot projects to launch that one. We have a new developer that's got the property under contract, the Fawside property, the Cleanfill site between Highway 14 and MM. A local developer, a gentleman that used to be on CETA, Mark Fairchild, Fairchild Development, left me a voicemail yesterday, and they're putting together their development plan. It would be a mix of some multifamily buildings, and then an ownership product, townhome ownership product on the north end, and on the west side of the development would be some single-family lots, approximately, I think, 34 or 35 single-family. So a really good infill development on a clean fill site. There would be a TIF request with that one as well.
So Mike, just a question. So
sure.
Again, I think what some of us learned from that seminar Lorene's had us go to, it would be 3 years once this gets moving forward, potentially, correct?
3 to 5.
3 to 5?
As far as when they get in the ground?
When they start and when they're open. Yeah, starting now, if he's got a green light to move forward, it's 3 to 5 years, right?
Well, they're hoping to be in the ground with infrastructure starting spring of next year.
Okay.
For it, just because this one's been out there for a while. You know, we created the TID district back in, I'm going to say 2017 or 18. Okay. You know, for it was Alexander Company at that time. Then we spent a couple years working on a concept with Royal Capital. So this one's been kind of waiting.
It's already on the highway.
I think this one before. Yeah, it'll be 3 years before we see increment. Okay, because you have construction kind of period, then valuation, and then it's usually the 3rd year before we start seeing increment from a TID standpoint.
Okay,
you know, with
that's
that.
fine. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Then the property on North Fish Hatchery Road, just south of Oshala, where we've got PC Metrocom and the massage spa, has sold. So we're working with the property owner on that one. They may do a facade renovation. We would like to work with them on a complete redevelopment. So we're working on some concepts and ideas. That's kind of a prime corner. It's right across south of UW Credit Union there at the signalized intersection of Oshala Drive and Fish Hatchery Road. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You might have seen that the vegetation that was there has been cleared. So we just had a meeting with them this week, and we're conceptualizing some ideas for that one. Jamestown Quarry on the west side, across from Super Target. The public infrastructure and utilities are being installed at this point in time. My understanding is Fitzgerona Road, I think, is closed now for approximately 30 days for the public improvements over there. And then they'll be starting to do some work on McKee Road with the inner lanes and outer lanes with some additional kind of turn lane capacity that's needed for that development. Hopefully there will be some early start permits maybe the third week of September, and then maybe full building permits towards the end of October there, once the public improvements are in and accepted and at 90%. Again, along the front, Chase Bank, Chick-fil-A, Crew Car Wash, and McDonald's would be the first four that we would start to see over in that area. We're still, right now we're just trying to get the four across the front. No formal proposal yet for the middle section there, yeah. So my understanding is there's still a letter of intent there and interest, but no formal plans submitted yet for that one.
Another anecdotal comment, with the Chick-fil-A, you see the line around Westtown.
Mm-hmm.
Is that being designed so that it won't, certainly won't impact McKee, I assume? But
no, because there will be off of Fitchburg Road. There's Jamestown Way, I think, is going to be the private road that'll serve those four along the front. That'll go east to west there. So that'll be kind of their own internal road network and everything there. Yeah. And then TID number 18, which is the TID that we created 2 years ago. They're north of Lacey Road along Commerce Park Drive, primarily for industrial uses there, although it was classified as a rehabilitation district because we're reclaiming the quarries over in that section. But we're going to need to amend that TID district and use Verona Road, 18151 as our connector to get over to Nesbitt Road. And that's for the senior housing development that J.T. Klein is proposing. That would be just on the lot north of Gymfinity Gymnastics on the west side of Nesbitt Road. As they did more site evaluation there because of the topography and the grades, and also for the stormwater that they need to accommodate for that project, it's going to be 2 buildings now instead of 3. And so we're going to have, they're proposing 100 units of market rate senior housing and then 80 units of affordable senior housing. So it reduced, and then it also aligns better with the TIF request. So we have them already working with Ellers on that, and we'll be working with their team to bring forward. But it'll get us some additional senior housing inventory and capacity, both market and affordable on the west side, as we've tried to locate senior housing along all 3 of our north-south corridors there. Then over on the east side again, I'm back in Uptown. The Holmes Bobberschmidt land north of the Avante property as you come off the Lacey Road interchange, they've been working with Phil Sveum, and the overall regulating plan for Smart Code is called an Article 3. And so they've made some modifications, and that has been approved by our planning department now, so that's really good progress over there. The next step for them is they'll be bringing forward a preliminary plat for that area. So we're hoping that land is going to start to be ready for development to get us more inventory for not only multifamily housing product, but also single-family housing product, which we're in desperate need of additional lots to add to our inventory here, especially on the single-family front. And then stay tuned for an invitation you'll be receiving for the Juniper Apartments. I'm over in Hartung Fields now, the first multifamily building. Okay, so that's on Friday, September 12th. I think it goes from 4 to 7. With the official ribbon cutting and ceremony at 5:30. But if you want to come over and check out that product and everything, please RSVP and plan to attend. That's the first of 3 buildings that are over there, and Ned's going to be breaking ground on the second building yet this fall. And then just to the west of that, right on Lacey Road, if you've seen some earthwork being done over there, that's going to be the new home for Gigi's Playhouse that provides services to families with Down syndrome. And so that's going to be their new headquarters and facility over there. So that's going to be a nice addition to the community as well. And then the other project that you'll see in Uptown is the 40-bed physical rehabilitation hospital, which is a joint venture between UW Health, Unity Point, and Life Point. They should be breaking ground this fall. So some good activity that you'll see over in the Uptown neighborhood. And then Terra Vesta on the east side is moving forward with, I think it's the 5th and final phase of Terra Vesta. So that neighborhood continues to have a good absorption and activity over there. I think that covers everything. Any questions on projects or things happening.
I was just wondering, have you heard anything from Department of Corrections on the Type 1 facility as that's moving forward, or have they not reached out to you?
Is that the youth one or the juvenile one? Yeah, I know we met with them a while back, but I haven't been part of any subsequent meetings with them. That's not to say that maybe planning and public works haven't, but we had one meeting, I know, with them about their plans and kind of the site area for that. Yeah, but I can ask Deanna and see if there's any other updates. Okay.
I just want to recognize the job that you did for the Fitchburg Focus. The economic development.
Oh,
You did
thanks.
A great job.
Oh, thanks.
I mean, it was a lot of information, but thank you for doing that. I think everybody really appreciates that every year, and it was very well received.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think I'm up to 6 requests now for people that wanted the presentation, and then even follow-up meetings with people and Julio was giving me a hard time because I had so many slides, and I said, well, I'm not sure what I would take out, because I said there's so much to cover and things that are going on, in the community. So we're always happy to, again, provide updates and meet with people and make it available. So it's.
So if any of you would like a copy of that, Joyce sent me one the other day. So reach out to Joyce. She's got copies of Mike's report. It is. I agree with what Jenny said. It was a very informative meeting, even though the slides were long. There's a lot in there, so thanks. Other comments, Mike?
Nope, I think that covers everything.
Okay. We're going to move forward because we actually had a schedule. Are there any CETA subcommittee reports to present? We've heard from Maureen and Joyce has talked. You've given anything else?
Yeah. No, that should cover it, I think.
So the next item we will move to is item number 9 on our agenda. Are there any announcements from the committee? All right. Our next scheduled meeting is Thursday, September 25th, 2025. You've also, just a reminder. Oh, go ahead, Joyce.
Excuse me, Mark. I have announcement.
Oh, sorry.
If you could please keep September 11th at 4 p.m. Open. We're going to have a ribbon cutting for the new police facility, groundbreaking. So keep that on your calendar. I guess I'm excited about the project because I already got it moving in. So if you could please keep that, it would be great to have a showing from CETA. And I think that's all that I have.
Joyce, we've had some folks. Jeremy's telling me 2 p.m., Joyce. So 2 p.m. Would you send
Nope. It just it got changed yesterday to 4 p.m.
Okay. Joyce, would you please send a notice out to CETA members just to remind, because we've got some folks that have gone off this call.
You'll get an invite and a copy of the press release when it goes out. Dana Schmidt and I are going to meet on Tuesday to start the planning of the event. So I'll keep you posted, but I just wanted everybody to get it on their calendar.
Okay. Thank you very much, Joyce.
Joyce?
Right. Yes, Mike.
Joyce, I'll give you a call on that one. I just want to check in with you on the mayor's schedule for that one.
Oh, because I got an email this morning that it was changed, I think, at the budget hearing.
Okay,
so
I'll check in with you offline on that one.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, second time. Are there any other comments from CETA members before we entertain a motion to adjourn? Hearing none, we will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I will motion
Move to adjourn.
I have a move to adjourn and a second.
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Thank you, folks. We got a very informative meeting today. Lots of good discussion, and we will see you. Well, I don't know if it'll be September 11th or it will be 25th, but thank you. We're out, Jeremy.